Well, good evening there, and welcome to issue number 59, and this issue is all about the Libra goats. And as you can see on the caption beforehand, those are the dates you have to be to fall into this Western and Eastern astrological combination. So let's get started straight away from the very early formative years. We've spoke about goats in the past, how they can seem very quiet children, very dreamy, very into the, I suppose you could say a lot of children are into sci-fi and that sort of thing, but these especially, or fantasy, anything fantasy, and that can last quite a long time. You might find these children going well into well later on into their primary years, still holding on to this fascination with science fiction. With the Libra though, there's a little bit more balance in this, and they tend to interact quite a bit better than other goat children, liking the contact, liking liking friendships, enjoying groups, so to speak, whereas some goat children can be a little bit lonerish and a little bit, as I say, in their own little world, and sometimes they're very hard to, for them to keep their concentrations in class. Although very bright, they tend to, they will drift off into their own world. But the Libran here really does balance it out particularly well, and they have a respect for authority. So, that does help them, it does ground them, and they can interact in classrooms and debates, and it really does give them a better grounding for when they progress into high school, senior school, and on to further education. The thing with the Libran goat, with this balance, they seem a lot more, as I say, a lot more with it, and are very good at team sports as well. You'll find that they're willing to put their hand up. Goats are often very good at sports, but sometimes, that extra effort needed to put themselves in the front or in the teacher's eye to say, come on, pick me. They lack maybe that little bit of, not so much discipline, but that little bit of confidence, shall we say. But the Libran does enhance the confidence a bit here, and as I say, they will get on very well with everybody around them, so they feel a lot more part of this, what's going on. So that's a very good union, these two. They really do help, and really do help to bring each other along. If we take them on through the high schools and the senior schools, that sort of thing, and maybe into university, as I say, the learning will be a lot more structured for this particular combination, and they will do pretty well, quite strong, although known to be to enjoy diverse subjects, particularly, as I say, sci-fi, murder investigations, etc. There could be very interesting forensics, putting little puzzles together that aren't of the norm. They are still going to excel at this, but they're going to be grounded in other areas such as their English, their mathematics, and the business studies, etc. So this is very, very good. So if we take them into their workplace or what they choose to do, they're very capable of doing many different things. A lot choose unusual professions. That is very, very possible for them. Quite technical, technically gifted, and it comes out into their fore if they work on their own. I do like, even though this combination is a lot better with, with groups or working on and certain factory floors, etc. They can do this, but I like to see, their individuality, their skillfulness come out, and they tend to work better on their own because they will work very long hours. They're not frightened of working hard. They're quite painstaking, and they tend to take on jobs that will need extra work, that will need to take their work home with them, and this is going to be very much a part of them. So whatever it be sales, anything, any specific designs, I can see them designing stuff, but they're going to need a lot of homework. They will do that at home, and they'll put the hours in. The boss doesn't need to worry with this combination. And as I say, you know, the goat, you know, is one of those plodders, even though they have that quiet, fantastical and very romantic side, they know when to knuckle down. They really do know when to put the foot on the gas as well, and sort of, as I say, this combination knows when to bite their tongue and get on with it. So they really are a fantastic worker. As opposed to being a boss, this may be a problem because, you know, goats can be a little bit indecisive, and so can the Libra, and there can be a little bit of indecision here, whereas they will know what they themselves want to do. Giving out orders isn't their strong point. They're quite, well, they're not a meek, don't get me wrong, they're not meek like that, but they really don't really get into the psyche of others and say, right, I want you doing that, I want you doing this. You know, they're not great at ordering people about, it's just the way they are. They're not, it's not that they don't, you know, give out authoritative instructions or anything like that. It's just they'd rather not do it. They avoid conflict at majority of any cost, and anything where they think they could get into an argument or they can make a decision. And this plagues the goat a lot, especially the Libran goat. If they make a decision that you know, can have bad consequences, they really don't want that responsibility. They'd rather be your foot soldier, or they'd rather be running their own business. So if anything does go wrong, it was down to them. You know, they're not one to be ordering about, or you know, as I say, really sort of putting pressure on anybody else. It's not the name of the game with them. This combination is very fussy and very picky as well, and so we find them going into relationships. It's going to be a very, very difficult area for these guys, because yes, they're very romantic, they're ultra romantic, they're very gentle, but it's if they allow somebody to get close enough to them to find that out. People might see them a little bit as a bit of you know, an enigma, or, you know, will they, you know, open up enough to allow a relationship to happen? And if they do, you've got such a loving, romantic and sexual creature here, very much so. You know, they won't be afraid to show their love, and they will demonstrate it. And, you know, you've got a real sort of someone with a lot of so we say energy, if you like, for that sort of endeavours. So we really have to look at breaking down maybe the early barriers of them. You know, you think they might be choosy, a little bit aloof, which they are, which isn't a bad thing, but sometimes they won't get into that relationship till quite a bit later on, which is where we're going to pick them up in the later 20s, early 30s, getting into that relationship, but finding the right partner. And the right partner for the Libran goat is always going to be a pig. If we look at the pigs with their natural aloofness as well, and also their complete determination to make relationships work, and also for their dedication, and you know, they can have quiet moments, so can the goat, but it's a lot of unspoken love here, you know, unspoken love and just little gestures. It would be a very romantic and very caring union, this, and plus the money making aspects would be fantastic. Both will work hard for each other, and both will be very technically skilled, so to speak. So maybe running a business and a relationship together, this is maybe a combination that I would recommend, you know. So they're both going to put in that expertise that they're both very capable of. So if we look at the pigs, and we look at the Leo pigs, we look at the Sagittarian pigs, we look at the Aquarius pigs, and we look at the Geminis, they're all very, very solid and strong. Also, the rabbits. The rabbits, as we know, can be very discerning and very aloof sometimes, but ultimately lovely homemakers, and it will make the goat feel secure and very wanted, and the romance will be lovely. Maybe need to work a little on the sexual side of it, as we know with our rabbits. They can be quite a closed book sometimes. you really have to get to know the rabbit, which, hey, these two are very capable of doing. So, you know, this is a fantastic match as well. So let's stick to our Leos, our Sagittarians, our Aquarians, and our Geminis here. Fabulous matches. What we need to avoid, as the Libra goat, is we have to avoid oxen at all costs, and vice versa. The oxen has a strict routine, a strict discipline, not as sentimental and as romantic as the goat, even though you know, they're very loving in their own way. But these two would, well, the oxen would put the goat into their shell, and I don't think, you know, they're ever liable to get them to open up properly. So let's avoid that union. If we go on to health matters with the Libra goat, well, we have to be very careful here, because they have very sensitive skin. So we have to look at the effects of the sun, but we also have to look at the effects of eczema and psoriasis, things like that, because the goat naturally has very sensitive skin, and we have to look at this, and so does the Libra. So you know, great caretaking there, because that can be some very painful conditions, and also can knock their confidence a bit. So keep an eye on that. You know, medicines today, you know, that's not a real problem, because other than that, they're a very fit and robust creature. I hope you've enjoyed this issue, and please tune in to the next one. Thank you.